I'm not scripting this video, nor am I going to give it any real thought before I record it. I'm just going to kind of roll with my initial impressions of Underwater. And my most obvious impression is that I saw Deep Star 6 in 1989, and I think I just saw it again. That's not to say that it doesn't wear its other influences right on its sleeve either, especially Alien. But it is a film that feels very familiar from beginning to end. There's a sequence that's lifted fairly directly from The Descent, for instance, and I don't think the film's really shying away from the fact that it knows that we're going to recognize those influences. The end of the film kind of feels like Deep Rising, and though it goes for a kind of Lovecraftian feel for a moment, it doesn't really ever settle into anything but being hommages to better films. That said, it's a very slickly made, really well acted film in just about every regard. And it's kind of sad that the initial impression was to make a movie that would just remind us of other films. It does commit one sin that prevents it from ever being a B on my Schoolhouse grade scale. And, this is a movie that is a C because of this one reason, which is that it doesn't do any good to have us watch a film in which we can't see what's happening. I know the impression here, like in 47 Meters Down Uncaged, is that, we don't know when the shark can suddenly show up, or in this case, the monster can show up, because we can't see. Isn't that scary? And maybe for a moment it is, but I think the filmmakers primarily misunderstand why we go to the movies, and that's to actually watch things. You could say that this evokes kind of a Blair Witch kind of foreboding feeling of being lost, and it kind of does, but unlike that film, you don't have a sense of the uncanny. Being on the bottom of the ocean is necessarily a hostile environment to begin with. What Blair Witch did was take a very normal environment and make it very threatening because, when a character says, if you walk in one straight line long enough, you have to find a road. We know that's true in America. The fact that the characters never get to that road is what's scary. On the bottom of the ocean, that's not even an issue. Everything's dangerous. The water itself is filled with creatures, there's the lack of oxygen, there's a ton of dangers. The monsters themselves are pretty good, actually. I think they're, at their best, very, very iconic and spooky. Unfortunately, it just kind of comes and goes as far as how much I cared about the threat. The movie has definitely checkpoints that these characters have to get to, but sometimes they're not very clearly defined about what they can do. So when a character shows up at a safe spot that has been mentioned before but was given absolutely no weight, for a moment we're wondering, well, how many platforms are there on the base of the ocean? It also should be mentioned that the film does feel PG-13 its whole runtime. Some people are talking online about this film having some great kills. I didn't see those kills then. What I saw were a couple kills that are kind of analogous to what you saw in that Fantastic Four film that came out a few years ago that no one liked. So I think overall what I'm going to say is, if you have nothing better to do, go see this movie, sure. But keep your expectations solidly in your pocket. There's some websites out there that are promoting this thing using words like classic, and oh my god, that's overkill on this. What it has going for it is some great performances. It's a really well-made film. The CGI is better than you'd expect, although it always looks like CGI, which immediately lessens the danger impact for me. So the Schoolhouse grade is a C. Not a C+, not a C-. It is exactly an average film. If you're a person who likes going to the movies and seeing horror films, regardless of their quality or how much you'll ever want to watch them again, then go, because I think you're going to have fun with this. I don't know that I ever need to see it again, but I did have fun. If, however, you are cynical and don't want to see anything that's not top tier, well, skip this. It's not worth that much of your time. I do feel that this film will do very well on streaming. That seems like a better platform for it. It is better than a lot of those direct-to-streaming titles that you've probably put yourself through over the last few months. The theater experience is not crucial to this title. I do wonder, however, what happened to this type of film. We used to get these kind of horror programmers all the time, and now we really don't get them much anymore. I wish we did get them, because even though this wasn't completely successful to me, I like going to the movies. I like seeing horror on the big screen. And if we could get more of that, the odds are we'll get some great films in the mix too. Because when you look back at a lot of the films we now consider classics of bygone eras of horror, not all of them were box office successes, and a lot of them found their audience on video. This might do the same, and I think it'll be a really good representation of kind of the average horror film in 2020. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Please share and subscribe, all that good stuff that I usually don't even say.